The year is 2045, and the world is a vastly different place than it was just a few decades ago. Humanity has made incredible advancements in technology, with quantum computing and artificial intelligence becoming the norm. Cities have grown into sprawling metropolises, with towering skyscrapers that reach towards the heavens. People from all walks of life have embraced the new era, marveling at the wonders that science has brought forth. But on one fateful day, everything changes. The skies above Earth's major cities darken as an alien fleet suddenly appears in orbit. The ships are unlike anything humanity has ever seen before, with sleek, angular designs that seem to defy the laws of physics. The extraterrestrial vessels are massive, dwarfing even the largest human-made structures. At first, there is confusion and panic among the populace. Governments scramble to make sense of the situation, with military leaders and scientists alike struggling to determine the aliens' intentions. Attempts to communicate with the extraterrestrial visitors are met with an eerie silence, only serving to heighten the tension and fear that grips the world. Days pass without any further development until suddenly, without warning, the alien ships begin their attack. Brilliant beams of energy rain down upon Earth's cities, vaporizing buildings and turning entire city blocks into smoldering ruins in mere moments. The destruction is swift and merciless, with millions of lives lost in the blink of an eye. Earth's militaries quickly mobilize to defend against the alien onslaught. Fighter jets scramble to engage the extraterrestrial ships in aerial combat, while ground forces deploy their most advanced weaponry in a desperate attempt to repel the invaders. But it soon becomes apparent that humanity's military might is woefully inadequate against the alien technology. The extraterrestrial ships are protected by energy shields that render human weapons useless. Missiles and bullets alike are absorbed harmlessly by the shimmering barriers, leaving the alien vessels unscathed. In contrast, the invaders' weapons are terrifyingly effective, with each blast from their energy beams capable of obliterating entire tank battalions or fighter squadrons in a single hit. As the one-sided battle rages on, it becomes clear that humanity is facing an enemy far beyond their capabilities. The aliens' technology is not only more advanced, but also seems to operate on an entirely different level than anything Earth's scientists have ever encountered. The realization that they are hopelessly outmatched begins to set in among the world's leaders and military strategists. Despite the overwhelming odds, Earth's forces refuse to give in. Pilots engage in daring maneuvers, using their inferior craft to draw alien fire away from populated areas. Ground troops fight bravely in the rubble-strewn streets, utilizing guerrilla tactics in an attempt to slow the alien advance. But for every small victory, there are countless losses, with the human death toll rising at an alarming rate. As the world teeters on the brink of annihilation, a group of scientists and military leaders gather in secret to analyze what little data they have managed to collect about the alien technology. They pore over sensor readings and battle footage, desperately searching for any weakness they can exploit. It is during this frantic analysis that they make a startling discovery, one that could change the course of the war and give humanity a fighting chance. The scientists realize that the aliens' technology operates on a quantum level, utilizing entangled particles and advanced artificial intelligence in ways that are beyond human comprehension. This revelation is both terrifying and enlightening, as it explains why Earth's most cutting-edge weapons have been so ineffective against the invaders. But it also gives them a glimmer of hope. If they can find a way to disrupt or bypass the aliens' quantum-based systems, they might be able to turn the tide of the battle. The scientists and military leaders begin to formulate a desperate plan, one that will require them to think outside the box and rely on unconventional methods. As the alien ships continue their relentless assault on Earth's cities, the stage is set for a battle that will determine the fate of humanity. With their most advanced technology rendered useless, Earth's defenders must find a way to outsmart and outmaneuver an enemy that seems unbeatable. The future of the planet hangs in the balance, and the only hope for survival lies in the ingenuity and determination of those who refuse to surrender in the face of overwhelming odds. As the world's leaders gather in a secure, undisclosed location to discuss their options, a sense of desperation and uncertainty hangs heavy in the air. They have witnessed the destructive power of the alien invaders firsthand, and they know that time is running out. The once bustling cities now lie in ruins, and the death toll continues to rise with each passing hour. In the midst of this chaos, a group of scientists who have been working tirelessly to analyze the alien technology steps forward to present their findings. The leaders listen intently as the scientists explain the startling revelation they have uncovered. The aliens' technology, they reveal, operates on a quantum level, harnessing the power of entangled particles and advanced artificial intelligence in ways that are far beyond human understanding. At first, the news is met with a mix of confusion and disbelief. The concept of quantum technology is not new to the world's leaders, but the scale and sophistication of the aliens' implementation are staggering. The scientists go on to explain that the invaders' ships and weapons are not just technologically superior, but they operate on an entirely different principle than anything humanity has ever encountered. The implications of this revelation are profound and terrifying. The scientists reveal that Earth's most cutting-edge systems, which have been heavily reliant on quantum computing and artificial intelligence, are now a liability. The aliens' technology can easily infiltrate and manipulate these systems, rendering them useless or even turning them against their human creators. As the reality of the situation sinks in, a feeling of hopelessness begins to pervade the room. If Earth's most advanced technology is useless against the aliens, what hope do they have of fighting back? The leaders begin to argue amongst themselves, some advocating for surrender, while others cling to the idea of a last-ditch, all-out offensive. Amidst the heated debate, a lone voice rises above the rest. It belongs to Dr. Evelyn Sharma, a brilliant physicist who has been at the forefront of the scientific analysis. She proposes a radical idea, one that initially seems counterintuitive and even ridiculous to some of the leaders present. Dr. Sharma suggests that the key to defeating the aliens lies not in trying to match their advanced technology, but in doing the opposite. She argues that they must abandon their reliance on quantum computing and artificial intelligence, and instead turn to older, simpler technologies that the aliens may not be able to anticipate or manipulate. At first, her proposal is met with skepticism and even derision. How could outdated technology possibly stand a chance against the aliens' advanced weaponry? But as Dr. Sharma lays out her reasoning, some of the leaders begin to see the logic behind her plan. She explains that the aliens' reliance on quantum technology is both their greatest strength and their greatest weakness. By infiltrating and manipulating Earth's quantum-based systems, they have been able to stay one step ahead of humanity's defenses. But if Earth's forces were to switch to analog systems, mechanical devices, and pre-digital era communication methods, they could effectively render the aliens' technological advantage moot. The more Dr. Sharma speaks, the more convinced the leaders become. They realize that her plan, while unorthodox, may be their only hope of survival. Slowly but surely, a consensus begins to form around the idea of fighting back with outdated technology. As the meeting draws to a close, the leaders emerge with a newfound sense of purpose and determination. They know that the road ahead will be difficult and that there are no guarantees of success. But they also know that they cannot simply sit back and watch as their world is destroyed. The revelation of the aliens' quantum-based technology has been a wake-up call, forcing humanity to confront the limitations of their own advancements. But it has also opened up new possibilities, offering a glimmer of hope in an otherwise bleak situation. As the leaders begin to mobilize their forces and implement Dr. Sharma's plan, a sense of cautious optimism begins to spread among the survivors. They know that they are in for the fight of their lives, but they also know that they have no choice but to adapt and evolve if they hope to have any chance of victory. The stage is set for a battle unlike any the world has ever seen, one that will pit the simplicity and ingenuity of human technology against the raw power and sophistication of an alien invader. The fate of humanity hangs in the balance, and the only thing that is certain is that nothing will ever be the same again. In the aftermath of Dr. Evelyn Sharma's revelation, the world's military strategists and tech experts gather to devise a plan to fight back against the alien invaders using outdated technology. The task before them is daunting, as they must find a way to effectively combat an enemy that has rendered their most advanced weapons and systems useless. The first step in their plan is to assess the capabilities of the technology they have at their disposal. They begin by looking at analog systems, mechanical devices, and pre-digital era communication methods. These include everything from old-fashioned radios and telegraphs to mechanical computers and early radar systems. As they delve deeper into the capabilities of these technologies, they begin to see potential in their simplicity. Analog systems, for example, are not vulnerable to the same kinds of cyber attacks and manipulation as their digital counterparts. Mechanical devices, while less efficient than their modern equivalents, are also less likely to be impacted by the aliens' quantum-based weapons. But the strategists know that simply using old technology is not enough. They must find ways to adapt and repurpose these tools to effectively combat the alien threat. This is where the expertise of the tech experts comes into play. One of the first ideas they propose is the use of analog communication methods to coordinate their efforts. They suggest using Morse code, a system that has been around for over a century, as a means of transmitting messages that the aliens will not be able to intercept or decode. They also propose using shortwave radios, which can transmit signals over long distances without relying on modern infrastructure. Another key aspect of their plan involves the use of mechanical devices and weapons. They propose repurposing old industrial equipment, such as cranes and bulldozers, as makeshift combat vehicles. They also suggest using simple mechanical traps and explosives, which can be triggered by analog timers or pressure plates, to catch the aliens off guard. But perhaps the most ambitious part of their plan involves the use of early computer systems. While modern computers are highly vulnerable to the aliens' quantum-based attacks, early mechanical computers, such as the difference engine and the Harvard Mark I, are not. The strategists propose using these primitive but reliable machines to perform complex calculations and guide their counterattacks against the invaders. As the plan begins to take shape, the strategists and tech experts work tirelessly to refine and implement their ideas. They scour museums and archives for old technology that can be repurposed for the war effort. They train soldiers and civilians alike in the use of analog communication methods and mechanical weapons. But even as they work to put their plan into action, they face numerous challenges and setbacks. The aliens continue their relentless assault on Earth's cities, and the human death toll continues to mount. Some of the old technology proves difficult to adapt to modern combat situations, and there are disagreements among the strategists about the best course of action. Despite these challenges, the humans remain committed to their plan. They know that they are fighting not just for their own survival, but for the future of their entire species. They press on, driven by a deep sense of purpose and a stubborn refusal to give up in the face of seemingly impossible odds. As the preparations for their counterattack continue, the strategists begin to see glimmers of hope. They receive reports of small victories against the aliens, achieved through the use of their repurposed technology. They hear stories of bravery and ingenuity from soldiers and civilians alike, who are finding new ways to fight back against the invaders. And then, finally, the day arrives when they are ready to put their plan into full effect. The resistance, armed with a mix of old-fashioned radios, mechanical weapons, and primitive computers, prepares to launch a coordinated attack against the aliens. They know that the odds are stacked against them, but they also know that they have no choice but to fight. As the resistance forces move into position, a sense of tension and anticipation hangs heavy in the air. The fate of humanity rests on the success of their plan, and the strategists and tech experts who devised it watch anxiously from their command centers, waiting to see if their gamble will pay off. The final battle is about to begin, and the humans are ready to face their enemy head-on, armed with nothing but their courage, their ingenuity, and the simple tools of a bygone era. With a plan in place, governments worldwide begin the daunting task of distributing old-fashioned radios, analog cameras, and mechanical weapons to their militaries and citizens. The resistance, as they have come to be known, faces the monumental challenge of learning to use these outdated tools effectively against a technologically superior enemy. In cities across the globe, makeshift training camps spring up, where soldiers and civilians alike learn the art of Morse code communication. The rhythmic tapping of dots and dashes fills the air as people of all ages and backgrounds work to master this long-forgotten skill. The trainers, many of them elderly veterans who learned Morse code decades ago, patiently guide their students, knowing that their lives may one day depend on their proficiency. Meanwhile, in abandoned factories and warehouses, teams of engineers and mechanics work tirelessly to retrofit old industrial equipment for combat. They weld armor plating onto bulldozers and mount makeshift weapons on cranes, transforming these once peaceful machines into formidable combat vehicles. The sound of grinding metal and roaring engines echoes through the cavernous spaces as the resistance prepares for battle. In the countryside, far from the watchful eyes of the alien invaders, the resistance sets up hidden bases and supply caches. They stockpile food, water, and medical supplies, knowing that they may need to survive on their own for long periods of time. They also begin to construct a network of underground tunnels and bunkers where they can hide from the aliens' advanced sensors and regroup after attacks. As the resistance grows in strength and numbers, they begin to launch small-scale attacks against the invaders. Using their intimate knowledge of the terrain and their newly acquired skills with analog technology, they stage hit-and-run raids on alien outposts and supply lines. They use mechanical traps and explosives to catch the aliens off guard, and they communicate their movements using coded messages transmitted over shortwave radios. At first, these attacks are little more than a nuisance to the aliens, who are used to dealing with much more advanced threats. But as the raids become more frequent and more effective, the invaders begin to take notice. They realize that the humans, despite their primitive technology, are a force to be reckoned with. The aliens respond by intensifying their efforts to locate and destroy the resistance bases. They deploy advanced drones and sensors to scan the countryside for signs of human activity, and they launch devastating attacks on any settlements or hideouts they discover. The resistance suffers heavy losses in these attacks, but they refuse to give up. As the war rages on, the resistance begins to adapt their tactics. They learn to use the aliens' own technology against them, hijacking their drones and using them to gather intelligence on enemy movements. They also begin to develop their own primitive but effective weapons, such as EMP devices that can disable the aliens' advanced systems. But perhaps the most significant development in the Resistance's fight against the invaders is the emergence of a new type of soldier, the human-machine hybrid. These individuals, many of them former engineers and tech experts, have found ways to interface with the old mechanical computers and use them to augment their own abilities in combat. They can process vast amounts of data and perform complex calculations in real time, giving them a significant advantage over their alien adversaries. As the resistance grows in strength and sophistication, they begin to turn the tide of the war. They launch increasingly daring attacks on alien strongholds, using their hybrid soldiers to outmaneuver and outfight the invaders. They also begin to establish contact with other resistance cells around the world, sharing intelligence and coordinating their efforts on a global scale. The aliens, for their part, are increasingly frustrated by their inability to crush the human insurgency. They had expected an easy victory over the technologically inferior humans, but instead, they find themselves bogged down in a brutal guerrilla war that shows no signs of ending. As the conflict enters a new and uncertain phase, the resistance knows that they still face a long and difficult road ahead. But they also know that they have already achieved something remarkable. They have shown that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit is capable of incredible resilience and ingenuity. And so, armed with nothing more than their wits, their courage, and the simple tools of a bygone era, the Resistance prepares for the battles to come, ready to fight for the future of their species and their planet. With their newfound confidence and arsenal of repurposed outdated technology, the human Resistance is ready to launch a major counterattack against the alien invaders. The plan is to use a combination of guerrilla tactics and cleverly deployed low-tech weapons to catch the enemy off guard and inflict maximum damage. The first phase of the counterattack begins with a series of coordinated strikes on key alien outposts and supply lines. Small teams of Resistance fighters, armed with mechanical traps and improvised explosives, infiltrate enemy territory under the cover of darkness. They use their knowledge of the terrain and their skills in analog navigation to avoid detection by the aliens' advanced sensors. Once in position, the teams set to work laying their traps. They rig tripwires and pressure plates to trigger explosions, and they set up elaborate mechanical contraptions designed to ensnare and disable alien ground troops. The Resistance fighters work quickly and efficiently, knowing that every second counts in this high-stakes game of cat and mouse. As dawn breaks, the traps are set, and the Resistance fighters withdraw to their hidden positions. They wait with bated breath, watching and listening for any sign of the enemy. Suddenly, the silence is shattered by a series of deafening explosions as the first wave of alien troops stumbles into the carefully laid traps. The aliens, caught completely off guard by the low-tech assault, suffer heavy casualties in the initial attack. Their advanced weapons and armor are of little use against the crude but effective mechanical devices employed by the Resistance. The human fighters, emboldened by their success, press their advantage, launching a fierce barrage of improvised explosives and analog-guided missiles at the disoriented alien forces. As the battle rages on, the Resistance's human-machine hybrid soldiers come into their own. Using their augmented abilities to process vast amounts of battlefield data in real time, they are able to anticipate the aliens' moves and coordinate the human counterattacks with uncanny precision. They use their mechanical computers to calculate the trajectories of their missiles and the optimal placement of their traps, wreaking havoc on the enemy ranks. The aliens, for their part, are utterly unprepared for this kind of low-tech guerrilla warfare. Their advanced AI systems, so effective against modern human technology, are useless against the analog weapons and mechanical devices employed by the Resistance. The invaders find themselves struggling to adapt to this new type of threat, their usual tactics and strategies proving ineffective against the human insurgents. As the day wears on, the Resistance's counterattack gains momentum. The human fighters, energized by their victories and driven by a fierce determination to protect their planet, press forward relentlessly. They use their intimate knowledge of the terrain to their advantage, luring the aliens into ambushes and traps, and using hit-and-run tactics to keep the enemy off balance. By nightfall, the aliens are in full retreat, their forces battered and demoralized by the unexpected ferocity of the human Resistance. The Resistance fighters, exhausted but triumphant, gather to celebrate their victory and to honor their fallen comrades. But even as they savor their success, the Resistance knows that this is only the beginning. The aliens, while weakened, are far from defeated, and they will undoubtedly be back with new strategies and weapons designed to counter the human threat. In the days and weeks that follow, the Resistance works tirelessly to build on their initial victory. They continue to launch daring raids and sabotage missions against key alien targets, using their low-tech weapons and analog communication systems to stay one step ahead of the enemy. They also begin to reach out to other Resistance cells around the world, sharing their knowledge and resources in a global effort to defeat the invaders. As the war enters a new phase, the Resistance faces many challenges and setbacks. The aliens, adapting to the new reality of the conflict, begin to develop countermeasures to the human insurgency, and the fighting becomes increasingly brutal and desperate. But through it all, The resistance remains unbroken and unbowed, armed with nothing more than their courage, their ingenuity, and the simple tools of a bygone era. They continue to fight for the future of their species and their planet, knowing that the fate of humanity rests on their shoulders. The counterattack has been launched, and the tide of the war is turning. But the final outcome is far from certain, and the resistance knows that they must be prepared to face whatever challenges and sacrifices lie ahead. The battle for Earth has only just begun. As the resistance continues to wage its guerrilla war against the alien invaders, a daring plan begins to take shape in the minds of the human leaders. They know that in order to truly turn the tide of the conflict, they need to strike at the heart of the enemy's operations, the alien command ship that orbits high above the Earth. The plan is fraught with risk and uncertainty, but the resistance knows that they have no choice but to try. They carefully select a small team of their most skilled and experienced operatives, including several of the human-machine hybrid soldiers who have proven so effective in previous battles. The team is tasked with a seemingly impossible mission to infiltrate the alien command ship and gather vital intelligence on the invaders' plans and capabilities. To accomplish this, they will need to rely on a combination of old-fashioned espionage techniques and the few pieces of vintage technology that have proven effective against the aliens' advanced systems. The first step in the plan is to secure a means of transportation to the command ship. The resistance scores the countryside for an old pre-digital era rocket that can be retrofitted for the mission. They find one in a long-abandoned military base, and a team of engineers works around the clock to bring the aging vehicle back to life. Meanwhile, the infiltration team begins their preparation for the mission. They study old maps and satellite images of the command ship, looking for potential entry points and escape routes. They also practice using the vintage cameras and analog recording devices that will be their eyes and ears once they are aboard the enemy vessel. When the day of the mission finally arrives, the infiltration team boards the retrofitted rocket and blasts off towards the alien command ship. The launch is detected by the aliens' advanced sensors, but the resistance has planned for this contingency. A fleet of decoy rockets is launched simultaneously from multiple locations around the world, creating a confusion of signals that temporarily blinds the aliens' tracking systems. As the infiltration team approaches the command ship, they use the cover of the decoy rockets to slip past the alien defenses undetected. They manage to find a small, unguarded airlock and make their way inside the massive vessel. Once aboard, the team splits up to cover more ground. The human-machine hybrid soldiers use their augmented senses and lightning-fast reflexes to avoid detection by the alien patrols, while the other team members focus on gathering as much intelligence as possible using their vintage cameras and recording devices. As they make their way deeper into the heart of the command ship, the team begins to uncover a trove of vital information about the aliens' plans and capabilities. They discover weaknesses in the invaders' defenses that can be exploited, and they learn of a planned offensive that could spell doom for the resistance if left unchecked. But just as the team is about to make their escape with the precious intelligence, they are detected by the aliens' security systems. Alarms blare throughout the ship, and the team finds themselves fighting for their lives against overwhelming odds. In a desperate bid to escape, the human-machine hybrid soldiers use their mechanical computers to hack into the command ship systems and create a diversion. They manage to open a series of airlocks and disable the ship's weapons, creating chaos and confusion among the alien ranks. The rest of the team takes advantage of the distraction to make a break for the airlock where they entered the ship. They are pursued by alien soldiers at every turn, but they manage to stay one step ahead thanks to their skills and the sacrifices of their hybrid comrades. Finally, after a harrowing chase through the bowels of the command ship, the team makes it back to the airlock and blasts off in a small escape pod. They watch from a distance as the command ship is rocked by a series of explosions, the result of the sabotage carried out by the human-machine hybrid soldiers. The infiltration team returns to Earth with the vital intelligence they have gathered, and the resistance begins to plan their next move. They know that the information they have obtained could change the course of the war, But they also know that the aliens will be more determined than ever to crush the human insurgency. As the resistance leaders pore over the intelligence and debate their options, a sense of hope begins to take hold among the human fighters. They have struck a blow against the invaders and proven that even the most advanced technology is vulnerable to the power of human ingenuity and determination. The infiltration may have been a success, but the war is far from over. The resistance knows that they must continue to fight with everything they have, using every tool and tactic at their disposal, if they hope to prevail against the alien threat. But for now, they savor their victory and prepare for the battles to come, knowing that the future of their species hangs in the balance. Armed with the crucial intelligence obtained from the daring infiltration mission, Earth's resistance leaders gather to devise a plan for their most ambitious counterattack yet. The information gleaned from the alien command ship has revealed critical weaknesses in the invaders' defenses, as well as details of an imminent offensive that could decimate the human forces if left unchecked. The resistance leaders know that they must act quickly and decisively to capitalize on this rare opportunity. They pore over the stolen alien data, analyzing it for any additional insights that could give them an edge in the coming battle. As they work, a plan begins to take shape, a coordinated worldwide assault on key alien strongholds, culminating in a direct attack on the invaders' mothership. To accomplish this, the resistance will need to mobilize every resource and ally at their disposal. They send out coded messages to resistance cells across the globe, using the analog communication networks they have painstakingly established. The call to arms is met with a resounding response, as human fighters from every corner of the world prepare to join the fray. Meanwhile, the Resistance's tech experts and engineers work feverishly to retrofit and arm a fleet of vintage aircraft for the assault on the mothership. They strip down old fighter jets and bombers, replacing their outdated systems with analog controls and mechanical guidance systems. They also develop a new generation of EMP weapons designed to disable the aliens' advanced technology without harming human equipment. As the preparations for the counterattack reach a fever pitch, the resistance leaders receive word that the aliens have begun their offensive. Reports flood in of massive enemy forces advancing on human strongholds around the world, their destructive power bolstered by new, even more terrifying weapons. The resistance knows that they have no choice but to launch their counterattack immediately, even if their preparations are not yet complete. They scramble their forces, sending their retrofitted aircraft and EMP weapons into battle against the alien onslaught. The fight that follows is brutal and bloody, with heavy casualties on both sides. The human resistance fighters fly their analog jets with incredible skill and bravery, dodging the aliens' advanced weaponry and delivering devastating strikes against key enemy targets. On the ground, human troops armed with mechanical weapons and improvised explosives engage the alien forces in fierce, close-quarters combat. Despite their valor and determination, the human forces are pushed back by the sheer power and numbers of the alien offensive. The situation looks grim, with the invaders poised to overrun several key resistance strongholds. But then, at the crucial moment, the resistance unleashes its secret weapon, a massive EMP device, cobbled together from scavenged parts and powered by a network of old microwave ovens. The device is smuggled into the heart of the alien offensive, where it is detonated in a blinding flash of energy. The effect is immediate and devastating. The aliens' advanced weapons and systems, so dependent on their quantum technology, are instantly disabled by the EMP blast. Their ships and vehicles grind to a halt, their communications networks fall silent, and their troops are left disoriented and vulnerable. Seizing the moment, the resistance forces launch an all-out assault on the stunned invaders. They swarm over the disabled alien equipment, using their mechanical weapons and brute force to overwhelm the enemy troops. The fighting is intense and chaotic, but the human fighters press their advantage, driven by a desperate desire to turn the tide of the war. As the battle rages on, the Resistance's retrofitted aircraft take to the skies once more, this time targeting the alien mothership itself. The pilots fly their jets with incredible daring, weaving through the ship's defenses and unleashing a barrage of EMP weapons and conventional bombs. The mothership, its defenses weakened by the EMP attack and its escorts distracted by the raging battle below, is unable to mount an effective defense. The human pilots press their attack, despite heavy losses, until finally, a series of devastating explosions rip through the massive vessel. As the mothership begins to break apart, the remaining alien forces on the ground and in the air are thrown into disarray. Some flee, attempting to escape the carnage, while others surrender, realizing the futility of further resistance. The human fighters, exhausted but elated, watch as the once mighty alien vessel crashes to Earth, signaling a decisive turning point in the war. They have struck a powerful blow against the invaders, proving that even the most advanced technology can be vulnerable to the ingenuity and determination of the human spirit. But even as they savor their hard-won victory, the resistance leaders know that the war is not yet over. The aliens, though weakened and demoralized, still possess a formidable arsenal and a desperate desire to conquer Earth. The final battle still lies ahead, and the ultimate fate of humanity hangs in the balance. As the dust settles and the resistance forces regroup, they begin to prepare for the next phase of the war. They have shown that they can stand toe-to-toe with the invaders and emerge victorious, but they know that the greatest challenge is yet to come. With renewed determination and a newfound sense of hope, they ready themselves for the final showdown that will decide the future of their world. In the aftermath of the devastating attack on the alien mothership, the human resistance realizes that they have achieved a significant victory, but the war is not yet won. The remaining alien forces, though scattered and demoralized, still pose a significant threat to Earth's survival. As the resistance leaders gather to plan their final push against the invaders, they receive word of a new development. The aliens, in a desperate attempt to regain the upper hand, have begun to deploy a new type of weapon, a quantum-based device that can manipulate the very fabric of reality itself. The news sends a shockwave through the resistance ranks. They know that if the aliens are able to fully utilize this new technology, all of their hard-won gains could be wiped out in an instant. They must act quickly and decisively to eliminate this threat before it can be brought to bear against them. The Resistance's top scientists and engineers work tirelessly to analyze the captured alien data, searching for any clues that could help them counter the quantum weapon. They pore over the schematics and specifications, trying to understand the underlying principles of the technology. As they work, a realization begins to dawn on them. The quantum device, for all its advanced capabilities, still relies on a fundamental principle of quantum mechanics, the idea that the act of observation can affect the outcome of an experiment. Armed with this knowledge, the resistance leaders devise a bold plan. They will use their own quantum technology, reverse-engineered from captured alien equipment, to create a device that can disrupt the alien's weapon at its most basic level. The plan is risky and untested, but the resistance knows that they have no choice. They assemble a team of their most skilled fighters and scientists, equipping them with the makeshift quantum disruptor and a suite of their most advanced low-tech weapons. The team sets out on a desperate mission to infiltrate the aliens' last remaining stronghold, where the quantum weapon is being prepared for deployment. They fight their way through the heavily guarded facility, using every trick and tactic at their disposal to overcome the alien defenses. Finally, they reach the heart of the complex, where the quantum device is being held. The team's scientists quickly set to work, using the disruptor to interfere with the weapon's delicate quantum states. The effect is immediate and catastrophic. The quantum device begins to malfunction, its reality-altering effects spiraling out of control. The alien stronghold is consumed by a maelstrom of shifting and possible geometries, its very existence unraveling at the seams. The resistance team barely manages to escape the chaos, fleeing back to their own lines as the alien facility collapses in on itself. They watch in awe as the last remnants of the invaders' once mighty war machine are consumed by the quantum storm, their advanced technology, and vast resources reduced to nothing in the blink of an eye. With the threat of the quantum weapon eliminated, the Resistance launches a final, all-out assault on the remaining alien forces. They use every weapon and tactic at their disposal, from improvised explosives and mechanical traps to EMP devices and retrofitted aircraft. The aliens, their will to fight shattered by the loss of their ultimate weapon, quickly crumble under the onslaught. They surrender in droves, laying down their arms and begging for mercy from the victorious human forces. As the last pockets of alien resistance are stamped out, a sense of joy and relief sweeps across the Earth. The long nightmare of the invasion is finally over, and humanity has emerged triumphant against seemingly impossible odds. In the days and weeks that follow, the survivors begin the long process of rebuilding their shattered world. They use their low-tech ingenuity and resourcefulness to reconstruct their cities and infrastructure, adapting the salvaged alien technology to their own needs and purposes. As they work, they reflect on the lessons learned from the war. They have seen firsthand the dangers of relying too heavily on advanced technology, and they vow to strike a balance between innovation and simplicity in the future. They also recognize the incredible resilience and adaptability of the human spirit, and the power of unity and cooperation in the face of overwhelming adversity. They know that they have been forever changed by the experience of the war, and that they must use this newfound strength to build a better, more equitable world for all. As the Earth heals and life begins to return to a sense of normalcy, the survivors take a moment to honor the fallen heroes who gave their lives to defend their world. They erect monuments and memorials to the brave resistance fighters, the ingenious scientists and engineers, and the countless ordinary people who rose to the challenge of the invasion and emerged victorious. And as they look to the future, they do so with a renewed sense of hope and determination. They know that they have faced the greatest threat imaginable and come out the other side, and that no challenge is too great for the indomitable spirit of humankind. The war may be over, but the story of humanity's triumph against the alien invaders will live on for generations to come, a testament to the power of ingenuity, courage, and the unbreakable bonds of unity that bind us all together.